technical perspective, I believe that's true. I think from a technical perspective, by the time you start trading, you should be good enough at reading structure to eyeball where price should and shouldn't go. I think the issue comes in on the psychological side and just allowing yourself freedom. As a newer trader, you're much more likely to make a psychological mistake. So the more strict rules you have, the less likely you are to make that psychological mistake. The more freedom you have, the more likely you are to abuse that freedom. It's kind of like a kid, right? If you have a 3-year-old kid versus like a 10-year-old kid, right? And you both give them the same amount of freedom, right? They're both able to make a quality decision, but who would you trust more? Would you trust the 3-year-old maybe to take advantage of the situation, or would you think the 10-year-old is going to follow the rules more? The older one probably has a better chance at following the rules and making the better judgment. They can both make decisions, but the 10-year-old is going to make better judgment just because that 10-year-old has more experience. They've made the mistakes that the 3-year-old hasn't yet. Therefore, they've learned from it. I think trading is the same way. So as a newer trader, you can probably make a judgment call on price action. You should be good enough to do that. However, the question is psychologically, do you trust yourself enough to follow that rule? And if you have the freedom to say, move your stop loss, and I suppose you can just say, once my stop loss is placed, I don't move it. But if you have the freedom to move your stop loss out of fear, because there's more fear that exists as a newer trader, I think you're more likely to let the psychological elements affect your placement, your decision making versus someone that's experienced. So I think that a newer trader should have stricter rules. I've always believed that. Stricter rules as a newer trader. And then once you've kind of gained experience, once you've built in developed that intuition, once you begin to trust your system, your plan, yourself a little bit better, then I think those rules can open up. So I don't think a range is bad. I would say the tighter the range, the better. But have a rule. Have some type of rule in place. Have some type of guideline for you to be in. Jamie says your risk reward rule would dictate your placement too. Yeah, to an extent. I mean, if you're following risk reward, again, we have to keep in mind that not everyone requires a 1-to-1 risk reward though. So for some traders, yes, that would help. For others, it may not. And the trust comes from practice on the charts and future further backtesting that the student does. Yeah, well, yes. The trust comes from that. It's one thing to work, but it's also, at some point, you got to gain real life experience. There's a different, you guys ever heard of the hard right edge? You ever heard that term before? Yeah, the hard right edge, right? You look at your chart, right? You see where my numbers are at in the chart? Right, that's called the hard right edge. This is the abyss, right? So if I give you a real-time look at the chart, right? This is the abyss, right? This is safety over here, right? Because we know exactly what's happening. The hard right edge, this is emptiness, and this is very difficult. So in backtesting, we have the luxury, unless you're using market replay, which I think is brilliant. I may actually use some today in today's training. In backtesting, we have the luxury of doing this, right? We can kind of see the entirety of what happened. Even as you're scrolling back, right? You may not purposely do it, but you're scrolling back and you already see that price went up, right? You're like, oh, okay, yeah. You may not be, you're trying to ignore it and be non-biased, but you know that price went up. So when you're looking at this move right here, right, you're already knowing that, okay, this was a reversal. So in your mind, you're thinking reversal, reversal, reversal. And it's easy to say, hey guys, look at that. We have a violation there, boom. Retest there, continue up. This is the start, right? This is the start of a very long bullish trend. Would you guys agree? However, in real time, we were to look at this in real time, like that. Do we know that this is the start of a very long bullish trend? No, it could be the start of a trend. It could be the end of a trend, right? We don't know. So, and that's why demo trading, paper trading, whatever you want to call it, excuse me, is so important, because it's slightly different to transition those skills from scene data to this. This is very scary. And it's even scarier when you have live money. This is very scary. So I think a combination, don't get me wrong, you need backtesting. You need to test your eyes. But I also do think you need a healthy amount of just really like either kind of replay data, where you replay the markets, or just making predictions. One of the biggest things that I did as a trader, and I still do it now, I go to random charts and make a prediction. So I'll go to a chart like this. Usually I go to a pair I don't trade, but I'll go to a chart like this, and I'll just do this. I'll say, okay, like that. Does anybody else do that? I make the noises and everything, right? And I just make a prediction, right? It's a no harm, no foul prediction, right? I don't have any money at stake. I'm just predicting based on what I see, what I think the market's going to do. And this is probably a bad example, but I would say something like this. Okay, higher high, higher close. All right, I'll write some notes on here. I'll expect a continuation higher to this mark. And then like to get there, we may do this. I'll put like a number 1 next to it. Or we may do this, or we may do that, right? And I'll follow it on during the week. I'll check it like once a day and just be like, I do this on the higher time frames typically. I'll check it once a day and I'll just be like, okay, well, we did that. And it's just practicing the skill of predictions. That's all it is. It's practicing the skill of predictions. And what happens is every time you obviously you're not right all the time. You're wrong. And you can take it one step further. And like if you get a trade signal, you can be like, okay, well, I would enter here, or I could enter there, and I could put stops there. You can take it one step further. But it's just practicing. It's practicing with zero risk. It's practicing with zero risk. And it's the same as paper trading, demo trading, just without, actually tracking anything in a demo account. But that helps too, because now you're getting rid of some of the fear of that open white or open black space. And again, for you guys that have used TradingView, Market Replay, NinjaTrader has it too. I don't know if you have a demo account, if you're allowed to use it or not. You guys can probably let me know better than I can, but TradingView is nice and simple because you don't have to worry about storing data or anything like that. And NinjaTrader, you got to kind of have it on so it records data. But TradingView, you go here, right? You go to the top, just go to replay, right? You pick a section in time. So I'm going to click right here, right? Boom. And then you can make your predictions in real time, right? So you can speed it up a little bit. You can look at something right here and be like, okay, well, did I pause it? You say, okay, we have a retracement into here. And this is just an example, guys. We have a retracement into there, right? I think that price is going to hold this low right here, right? And then if we continue up, we're most likely to test this area and then probably travel to our next structure highs right here. And you just click the little play button. It's like, no, and you can adjust the speed to make it as fast or slow as you want, right? And you see, nope, stopped out. Nope, stopped out. Prediction wrong. No harm, no foul, right? It's amazing doing stuff like this, and don't get caught up over. I mean, feel free to make predictions, right? And that's the cool thing about demo trading and paper trading. When there's no money at stake, there's no what? There's no emotions. When there's no emotions, there's no fear, right? No risk, no fear, no emotions, right? So you don't have to worry about being wrong.